Officers have now arrested the parents of the woman accused of killing her husband, a National Guardsman.
Your Honor, the state requests that you continue to hold the defendant, Jennifer Gledhill, without bail. In this case, there is substantial evidence. There's substantial evidence that supports that Matthew Johnson is not missing. Matthew Johnson was murdered by the defendant.
It started as a missing persons call and ended with a wife, a murder charge, and parents accused of cleaning up the crime. Hi, I'm Katie Ring, true crime analyst, self-defense instructor, and advocate for victims. And this is Crime House Daily, your weekday true crime companion, a Crime House original powered by Pave Studios. We follow the cases making headlines now, where justice is still unfolding. This is a first watch episode bringing you today's biggest crime stories. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel at Crime House Daily so you never miss an episode. This episode discusses active criminal cases and breaking news. The information we share is based on what's publicly available at the time of recording and may change as new evidence comes to light. We aim to inform, not to decide guilt or innocence, so everyone mentioned is presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Today, we're covering two major cases in the news. Our first case follows a woman accused of murdering her husband during a bitter divorce in September 2024. She has pleaded not guilty to multiple counts, including first-degree murder. With her trial scheduled for December 2025 and a final pretrial hearing set for November 6th, this is her last opportunity to change her plea. Our second story brings us back to Canton, Massachusetts, where Karen Reed was famously acquitted in June 2025 of murdering her boyfriend, Boston police officer John O'Keefe. She's now facing a civil wrongful death lawsuit filed by O'Keefe's family, and on August 13, 2025, Reed's lawyers moved to dismiss the emotional distress portion of the case. The civil proceedings are moving forward in Plymouth District Court. Before we dive into today's cases, I want to talk about a couple stories I've been keeping an eye on lately. In Orange County, Florida, a former sheriff named Anthony Shea has been denied bond in connection to the murder of his estranged wife, Ellie Shea, and staging it as a suicide. He was just denied bond and now awaits trial with no public date announced yet. We'll keep you updated as soon as new details emerge. And breaking news out of North Texas, Cindy Rodriguez Singh, who was previously indicted for the 2022 capital murder of her 6-year-old son, just got hit with 4 additional charges, including child abandonment, leaving a child without proper care, and 2 counts of injury to a child. Singh was captured by the FBI in India in August after being placed on the top 10 most wanted list. She remains held in Tarrant County Jail on a $10 million bond. As always, head over to our social media at CrimeHouse247 for any breaking news updates. For our first case, we're covering a story out of Salt Lake City, Utah, where a woman named Jennifer Gledhill is accused of murdering her husband, Matthew Johnson. Jennifer's parents have also been charged with obstruction of justice for allegedly helping her cover up Matthew's murder. So far, she's pleaded not guilty and her trial is slated to begin in December 2025, but there's a chance that could change. Jennifer's pretrial conference is scheduled for November 6th, which is also her last chance to change her plea. Prosecutors have offered her a deal. The question is, will Jennifer take it? Let's get into it. Matthew Johnson's life seemed defined by loyalty to his country, his community, and to his family. After serving in the Marine Corps, he joined the National Guard in Utah. Along the way, he married a woman named Jennifer Gledhill. They settled in a Salt Lake City suburb of Cottonwood Heights and had 3 kids together. By all accounts, he was a great dad and a treasured friend. But when it came to Matthew's marriage, things eventually broke down. It's September 2024, and 51-year-old Matthew and 42-year-old Jennifer are struggling through a bitter divorce. It's not clear what led them to this point, but both of them seem to think that the other is a threat. Jennifer has asked multiple times for protective orders against Matthew. However, the court has deemed that Jennifer is the, quote, instigator of the problems. And over the past few weeks, Matthew has spent most nights sleeping at his barracks because he's reportedly afraid for his safety. It's clearly a volatile situation at the home. And on September 28, 2024, it reaches a climax. That day, Jennifer calls the Cottonwood Heights Police Department to report her husband missing. She says she hadn't seen or heard from her husband since the 20th, after they had a fight. According to Jennifer, Matthew said he'd be gone for a week and he explicitly said not to contact him. If true, this is a little out of character for Matthew, whose friends describe him as a devoted dad. No matter how mad he is at Jennifer, he wouldn't just leave them like that. It's looking like his fears may have been warranted, because shortly after Matthew disappears, someone calls the Cottonwood police with a tip. The anonymous caller claims that he's been having an affair with Jennifer. He says that just before midnight on September 22nd, 2 days after Jennifer said Matthew went missing, she came by his house and told him what really happened. Jennifer reportedly said that Matthew wasn't missing, he was dead, and she had killed him. Jennifer apparently told him that on the 20th, Matthew revealed that he knew she was having an affair. The accusation allegedly led to another explosive fight. And the next night, when Matthew was sleeping, she shot him in the head with a 9mm handgun. After that, Jennifer grabbed their minivan's rooftop storage container, put Matthew's body inside, and slid it down the stairs. She managed to load it into the trunk of the car, but before going anywhere, Jennifer smashed Matthew's phone and hid his truck in a nearby neighborhood. Once she got home, she drove the minivan somewhere north, where she buried Matthew's body in a shallow grave. Jennifer asked her boyfriend not to tell anyone what she just said. She seems to think that she can trust him with this awful secret. She's wrong. Jennifer's boyfriend is horrified, and instead of becoming her accomplice, he decides to turn her in. In the following days, he starts recording their phone calls and snapshotting their texts. One conversation is especially frightening. When Jennifer's boyfriend says he's scared about what she told him, she gets angry. She tells him, quote, "Wow, if you think I could even hurt a fly, like he's not a person. He wasn't a person anymore. He wasn't Matt." Jennifer's boyfriend isn't able to shake it off so easily, though. He goes to the police and gives them everything he has on Jennifer. Before they do anything else, they want to corroborate his story. Investigators talk to one of Jennifer's neighbors, who said they heard Jennifer and Matthew arguing on the night he was allegedly killed, and the next morning his truck was gone. Not only that, but on the 24th, the neighbor saw that Jennifer's parents were over cleaning the garage and inside the house. Police wonder if they were there to help cover up Matthew's murder. And shortly after, on September 30th, they find his truck parked 0.3 miles away from the house, with his broken phone inside. A neighbor's doorbell camera shows that it was parked there at 6:15 the morning after Jennifer allegedly killed Matthew. So far, her boyfriend's story is lining up. The police get a search warrant for Jennifer's house and find more suspicious details. The mattress on her bed is brand new, and the wall behind it seems to have been recently wiped with bleach. But the room wasn't cleaned thoroughly. Investigators find reddish-brown spots on the walls, bed frame, and blinds, and the carpet below the right side of the bed tests positive for human blood in wide circles, which would be consistent with the theory that Jennifer had shot Matthew in the head. The GPS data on her cell phone also shows her going near where his truck was found, and later that day, driving north before the phone was shut off that afternoon. Investigators also locate surveillance footage of Jennifer stopping at a car wash to thoroughly clean their minivan that night, right before she went to see her boyfriend. It all paints a very bad picture for Jennifer. But with DNA results still pending on the blood, there's nothing directly linking her to Matthew's murder. But it's not long before they find a crucial piece of evidence. The police get a warrant to search Jennifer's parents' house, and when they look in the room where she sleeps when she visits, they discover something that changes everything. When police search Jennifer Gledhill's parents' house, they focus on the bedroom where Jennifer sleeps anytime she visits. Inside, they find a gun box for a Glock 19X, which is a 9mm pistol, the same kind of gun Jennifer's boyfriend said she used to kill Matthew. They hadn't found his body yet, but they didn't need it. On October 2nd, 2024, 4 days after Jennifer reported her husband missing, she's arrested for Matthew's murder. After that, police turned their attention to her parents. When questioned, Rosalie Gledhill admits to being in her daughter's home on September 24th, but claims that she was only there for about an hour. Investigators also asked Thomas Gledhill if he was there that day and if he went into the master bedroom. His response was, quote, "I did not go in where the incident happened." It would later come out that Jennifer had sent her father a text asking for $13,000 just 2 days before her husband disappeared. Shortly after that, she asked her mother to purchase her a new mattress on Amazon. A few weeks later, on October 24th, 2024, both of her parents are arrested and charged with obstruction of justice. After Jennifer's arrest, she's denied bail and kept in custody. In February of 2025, she appears in Salt Lake City's Matheson courthouse in a blue prison jumpsuit. She's charged with first-degree murder, obstruction of justice, witness tampering, desecration of a human body, and felony drug charges based on discoveries police made while searching her and her parents' homes. She pleads not guilty and waives her right to a preliminary hearing. This means a judge can decide on their own whether the case will go to trial. And in this case, they decide to move forward, even though, as of this recording, Matthew's body has not been found. Jennifer's trial is set to begin in December of 2025. She has pleaded not guilty. Her lawyer has confirmed that the prosecution has offered a plea bargain. As of August 13th, he hasn't said if she's considering it or not, but the clock is ticking. Jennifer's final pretrial conference is on November 6th. It's her last chance to change her plea. So if there are any developments, we should be hearing about them soon. For today's second story, we're covering the latest developments surrounding Karen Reed and the death of her boyfriend, John O'Keefe. In the wake of Karen's acquittal in criminal court this summer, John's family is proceeding with a civil lawsuit against her. And recently, Karen moved to have some of those accusations dismissed. In case you're not caught up, I'll give you a quick recap of how it all played out. And then I'll focus on Karen's upcoming civil case. But before we get into where everything currently stands, let's dive into the background of this case. Early on the morning of January 29th, 2022, Karen Reed discovered John O'Keefe's body on the front lawn of a home belonging to their two friends, Brian and Nicole Albert. An autopsy revealed the cause of death to be impact injuries to the head and hypothermia. The night before, Karen and John, who was a Boston police officer, had been out drinking before John was invited to the Alberts' house for a party. Karen says she dropped John off at the house around midnight, but when John didn't come back out, Karen claimed she got impatient and drove away. According to her, this was the last time she had ever seen him alive. However, prosecutors with the Commonwealth of Massachusetts suspect that night had gone differently than Karen said. They allege that Karen and John had been fighting and that Karen had struck John with her car and left him in the snow to die. But the public soon finds out there's a lot more to the story than anyone is letting on, and a new theory begins to take shape. As people start looking into the story, they realize that John's friend, Brian Albert, is a police officer. They start to wonder if John had actually died inside the Alberts' home, and Karen is being framed for it. Her first trial started last year, with Karen facing charges of second-degree murder, manslaughter while operating a motor vehicle under the influence, and leaving the scene of an accident resulting in death. Along with unorthodox evidence handling, Karen's lawyers also show that the lead investigator on this case had acted extremely unprofessionally. In text messages, he called Karen names and even said he looked for nudes when he searched her cell phone. When the trial concludes on July 1st, 2024, there's apparently enough reasonable doubt that the jury agrees that Karen hadn't murdered John. But they can't come to a decision on the manslaughter charge, which means the case ends up with a hung jury and that Karen has to go through a retrial. The second trial goes from April to June of 2025, and this time, Karen's found not guilty of all major charges, except a less serious charge of operating under the influence. She's sentenced to 1 year probation, but no jail time. Karen's legal battle isn't over yet, though, because after her criminal trial ends, a civil suit against her moves forward, and there's no guarantee that it will end in the same way. The civil suit against Karen Reed was filed in August 2024, although it was put on hold until her criminal proceedings were over. So after her acquittal this summer, it was allowed to move forward. John's brother, Paul O'Keefe, is the lead plaintiff in the suit, along with John's parents and his niece. The suit was originally filed in August 2024 and names Karen as the defendant, along with the 2 bars she and John went to on the night of his death. The O'Keefes are seeking at least $50,000 in total damages. They claim Karen caused, quote, conscious pain and suffering, fear of impending death, wrongful death, lost value to next of kin, severe and profound emotional distress manifesting in bodily symptoms, and other compensable damages. In essence, the suit is asking the judge to find Karen liable for John's death. And the plaintiffs also want the bars the couple went to that night held liable for over-serving Karen. There's a couple key differences between a civil trial and a criminal trial that are especially relevant here. The first is that defendants in a civil trial can't be sent to jail. The judge can only punish them financially. The second is that the burden of proof is lower. In criminal cases, the prosecution must prove the defendant is guilty beyond reasonable doubt, while in civil court, it only requires a preponderance of evidence, meaning there's a greater than 50% chance that the defendant is guilty. And there are examples of a defendant being acquitted in criminal court only to be found liable in civil court later on. One of the most famous examples being O.J. Simpson, who was found not guilty in the murders of his ex-wife Nicole Brown Simpson and her friend Ron Goldman, but in a civil trial afterward, he was found liable for their wrongful deaths. So there's no guarantee of how this case will go. There are a lot of moving parts to this case. Let's start with Karen and what this all means to her. Our team spoke to a lawyer who is familiar with the case, and she helped break it all down. One of the challenges Karen faces is what's in public record. Since she admitted to driving while intoxicated the night of John's death, she could be found liable for putting him in danger. But the evidence from Karen's criminal trial can help her as well, because all the evidence that helped the jury decide that she wasn't guilty can be used in her defense in this case as well. Not only that, but the discovery process is easier in civil court too, so Karen should be able to use evidence that was denied in her criminal proceedings, which also goes for the plaintiffs, so we'll see if anything new comes from this, or which side has the advantage in this setting. These variables could be why Karen has asked to have the emotional distress portion of the suit thrown out. On August 13th, 2025, her lawyers filed a motion to dismiss that part of the suit. They argued that none of the plaintiffs were present at the time of the alleged crash, which undermines the emotional distress aspect of the claims. We'll be sure to monitor the case for all of the latest updates, and as always, follow us at Crimehouse 24/7 for breaking news. What did you think of today's case? Drop your theories in the comments. And follow us at Crimehouse 24/7 on TikTok and Instagram. And subscribe on YouTube at Crimehouse Daily. For ad-free listening, join Crimehouse Plus on Apple Podcasts. You stay curious, and I'll stay on the case. See you next time.